So how do you even describe 2020 looking back at it? Yeah, well, what a year. Like, I fully recognize that it has been an absolutely horrible year for so many people out there. Luckily for me, I haven't really felt too much of the pandemic and the restrictions. Of course, we've also had restrictions here in Denmark, but with the lifestyle I have, which is being far from humans out in nature and being restricted to this room here, I by default follow some of the worst restrictions that is going on right now. So in many ways, I haven't really been affected by all the horrible stuff happening in 2020. And a massive thank you to all of you guys out there who support my channel, support my work, buy my products. It is because of you that I can do what I do. And again, that is something I fully recognize, and I'm fully aware of it. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. So in this video, as with the other years, I will go through some of my favorite photos that for different reasons are the photos that I prefer, which I've released in 2020. I will go through them chronologically. And there are some photos from outside of Denmark, but most of them are from in Denmark. And I would say that one of the main things that I at least hope that within the landscape photography community that 2020 has brought is an ability to recognize and value the nature which is in your backyard, which is close to you. Obviously, I have Denmark, and as you have followed the videos on this channel, you can see that Denmark is not epic Iceland or epic Faroe Islands, and we don't have like old medieval castles standing around, which works as great focal points, but we have a lot of other things that I have been out photographing throughout the year that I really just have enjoyed. So hopefully 2020 has made an awareness, at least on the social media, that there's more to photograph than just Iceland and Lofoten and Western US. And at least what I have seen on social media is that there's been a bigger variety of photos from around the world, because so many landscape photographers have been restricted to their own countries. That being said, we are going to start in Lofoten in this video. So the first photo here is from Lofoten, and as I said, these are photos I've released in 2020. I shot this one here in 2019 when I was up in Lofoten back then running a workshop, and this photo here is definitely my favorite from that entire tour. It's just so atmospheric and moody, and in many ways original also, even though this is in an area, it's the one with the road leading straight into the background cliff wall. This photo here just stands out for me because it's also original, and it is definitely one I could hang on my wall. What is also ironic with showing my favorite photos is usually when I make a video where there's one of my favorite photos, I'm really bad at somehow making a great title and thumbnail for that video. There was not a whole lot of people who actually watched the video where this shot is from, so definitely go back to my Lofoten videos and check this one out, because there's so many other really great photos in this video and some beautiful B-roll too. Even though popularity on Instagram is not a factor for how I value my photos, I can't get around this one photo here. It works really well for Instagram, but it is also one of my favorite photos, and a photo where I was just like, as soon as I saw it, I shot it in Iceland in like November 2019. I was just like, yes, here there's potential, and I really worked the scene, and it's like a photo I've put together like with two different photos from a little bit of a different angle. That was like 50 meters between the photo I used for the foreground and the photo I used for the background. And I show in my post-processing course how I put this photo together, but it is really just like, it's so powerful and it has so much scale, but it is in the same way both complex and simple. And it is something that, you're just like, it's just a wow photo, and it just really works. So back in February, we also had a few storms hitting Denmark, and I went out to this lighthouse here and just walked around there the entire day photographing in the dunes during the storm, which was just like, that is the best part of landscape photography, and obviously also why I called the video that. And I took so many photos this day, but it's actually this one photo here from the middle of the day, even actually rather wide angle. I also have one where it zoomed a little bit more in, but in the end I actually prefer the more wide angle photo here because it includes more of the foreground dunes and grass, and it just makes the dune area fill up more. Usually I prefer to have my focal point being a rather big part of the photo, but in this case I prefer it to be a smaller part because it just gives a bigger sense of vastness in this one here. So yeah, definitely one of my favorite photos this year. Also in February and March, I was 2 weeks in Iceland hosting a workshop, and this one here is definitely one of my favorites. It was just taken out of the front window of the bus. We just have this beautiful light coming in, and we had so much wind that was just blowing the snow around. So it's really so much of a snowstorm photo, and yeah, light and composition very simple, but also so beautiful and so powerful. So from the same workshop, this shot here from Rainy Strangar, the famous sea stacks in Iceland. And again, I think it's the third year I have this shot, this perspective in my favorites, and I just have something for these rocks. They're just so iconic and so beautiful and so powerful. And it is actually first this year that I really got the photo that I had pre-visualized from this place. And I absolutely love it. I love the contrast, I love the light, I love the drama in it, but still a very orderly photo with the lines of waves here in the foreground, with this very compressed view. I shot it with the long lens, and yeah, it just works, and I absolutely love it. This is so much to me what Iceland is about, like drama and beautiful light with these very iconic cliffs. So we are making a huge jump from beginning of March all the way to June, where I got this shot here of a lone tree here in Denmark. And this is actually a composite. The background clouds, I shot them the day before throughout my apartment window, and I can actually see this tree from my apartment. So putting these two photos together is, in my opinion, okay in regard to composite photos. It still gives the sense of the weather that I had these days. And I also really was struggling with my back. I had huge back problems this summer, and I really remember how much pain there were getting these photos, and there's just so many feelings for me attached to this photo. It's also part of my big Photoshop for landscape photographers tutorial course, where I show how I made this photo. So be sure to check that one out if you want to learn how I edit my photos. But this is, I just love this dramatic, simple lone tree photo. That's generally like, if I have to comprise what it is I'm after in my landscape photography, it's this combination of drama and simplicity, or at least something eye-catching and simplicity at the same time. It's really hard to say exactly what it is. So this photo here is of course also one of my favorites from one of the biggest events of the year, Comet Neowise coming by. There were so many great photos taken that I've seen on the internet. I knew exactly what I wanted when I saw that a comet would show on the sky, and it was a perspective like this. Be sure to check out those videos because it really shows how I worked with this event over some nights. And it really, I had Sophie with me out some of the nights. It was really just a fantastic experience. I got so many other photos these nights too. I show some of them in the videos. I was also struggling a lot with noctilucent clouds, and I also got a lot of really great photos with noctilucent clouds. Hopefully I can make a video next summer. I have a material enough to show such a video, because I got, it was actually some of my favorite photos I've shot with most potential in 2020, but I'm not going to release them before 2021, given I get a bit more footage with noctilucent clouds, so you can look forward to that. So this photo here is also one of my absolute favorite photos of 2020. I am like this close to getting it printed, so I can hang it on my wall. It's just, there's so much mood and atmosphere here, and it is improvised. I hadn't planned this one out. I'd planned to go somewhere else this morning, but since there was no fog at that place, I had to head up into some hills where I could see there were some fog, and I just found this line of the treetops and having birds flying over it. These birds are actually taken from one of the video stills from the video I was filming here, and then I put them in to the photo I shot from this place, yes, just so I got the most optimal birds. But it was all recorded and taken at the same time. So yeah, again, it's really one of my favorite photos of 2020. Just an interesting and beautiful morning. So this here is also one of my absolute favorite photos of 2020. This place is such an iconic place for people living where I live, between Silkeborg and Aarhus here in Jutland in Denmark. And I went here 3 times during September to get a shot which was something like this here, where I had the fog laying above the treetops, having the trees, you can see them through the fog here in this example, and then the hill in the background with the tower on top. It is, yeah, it's hard to put it into words because the photo is telling more than 1,000 words. Like, it's so atmospheric, it's moody, it's, yeah, everything I love about landscape photography. So in 2020 we actually also managed to run a workshop. It was me and 4 clients coming mainly from Scandinavia, so it was rather easy to get to the Faroe Islands. And we just had 5 days of absolutely amazing conditions, like very varying conditions, as you will see in this one photo here and the next one. And this photo here is just like, this is like the definition of what I would say is a Mads Peter Iversen photo. It shows scale, it shows an epic landscape, but also in a very simple way with great light and a sense of adventure. So I have tried to photograph this perspective many times before, but getting up from this perspective is actually the first time since the first time I was in the Faroes, and I managed to get it this time, and I really just like it because it's a very definition of the kind of photography that I really like and I really appreciate, along with a lot of other stuff. But when it comes to the epic photos, this is definitely all the way up there. So another one here from the Faroe Islands, which is just so moody and dark, and by a landslide my favorite shot of this very iconic perspective from Kalsoy. We just had like shower upon shower coming in, and sometimes we couldn't see the big mountain there in the background. It again just absolutely, I can't put it into words, but I absolutely love the moodiness here, and it is just so simple. You can see the lighthouse, you can see a person for scale, and you can see like the silhouette of the mountain there, really nicely framed in moody and atmospheric scene. Yeah, I just really like this one. So this here is also one of my absolute favorite photos from Denmark this year, and one of my most popular photos ever released on the social media. And it just goes to show that you don't need those huge epic landscapes and epic colors. It is so much more about the individual elements in your photo and what feeling that photo gives the viewer. I think it can actually be boiled down to that. It's a single exposure. I had these, I think it's geese flying in, and I was just like, oh, I need to get them. So I just pushed the ISO all the way up to like ISO 1600. So I had a relatively fast shutter speed, so I could catch a fast shot of them without them being blurry. And yeah, it worked out really, really well. So yeah, simple, straight on, the right moment, the right time, right colors, everything. And last but of course not least, this year was one of those extraordinary experiences where you go and everything just comes together in a way which is almost undescribable. I'm not even sure that's a word in English. I have this fantastic troll fairy tale forest that I have found myself. Nobody have told me about it. I simply stumbled upon it by exploring, and then I waited like half a year until the conditions were great, and I went there, and I just pulled out some of my favorite woodland photography ever. Also made one of my most popular videos this year from there, and thank you so much to all of you who have seen it and subscribed because of having seen it. It is one of those photos I don't think I would have wanted it printed, but I don't want it like a huge one, maybe like A2 or something like that, because it's still, even though I try to process it rather airy and light and bright, it is still a rather moody one. So it's definitely one that shouldn't take up the entire room, but definitely one I want to hang on my wall, but probably not one that like should take up the entire space of the room. So that was the final of my favorite 13 photos from 2020. Here follows a collection of some of the other photos that almost made it to my favorites. So I do not want to predict what will happen in 2021. Hopefully we can manage to run the workshops that we have pushed back from 2020. But it really is just from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much to all of you who are watching along on this channel. Thank you so much to all of you who buys my products. It is because of you I can do what I do. Again, I don't have sponsorships, and so far it's a deliberate choice that I don't have. So I am 100% dependent on you guys out there. So thank you so much for watching. Happy New Year's, and if you want to learn about composition, be sure to check out my 2 ebooks. There are light versions of them if you want to check them out first before you buy them. And in these ebooks I cover all the different composition tools I use to compose my photos and what's going on in my head. If you want to learn how I edit my photos, be sure to enroll in my huge Photoshop for landscape photographers. Here I cover basically how I make my photos pop without overdoing the processing. There is a coupon code down in the description so you can save some money when you enroll in the course. Besides that, as always, I would highly appreciate both a like and a comment, and Happy New Year's. Be careful of your eyes. No fireworks in your eyes. See you next Tuesday.